This is Charles Clinton from the Heart of Medicine. I am currently a PGY3 in internal medicine, and actually I am undergoing the match for fellowship after going through these experiences several times in my life. So in Costa Rica I did medical school. I then went on to do cardiology fellowship over there, which was 5 more years. Worked in several medical related fields there. Then decided that probably my dream always was to come here and continue growing in the US. So I came over and am completing internal medicine in the US and applied to a couple of fellowships here in the US. So interestingly, I applied, and I'll talk about this in a second. I think this video right here is pre-match. So match day is today. It is December 4th, and it's December 4th, and match day is supposed to happen in 2 hours. It's December 4th at 10 a.m. At 12 midday. 2 hours from now, I will be getting an email saying you matched or you did not match, and of course where I matched or not. So I made a previous video explaining why during match day I am sharing my thoughts pre-match, because what you usually see is the post-match video, right? Those are everywhere out there. So everyone, they match and I'm so excited, I'm so thankful, this and that. And before that, silence. So I'm breaking here the silence with a pre-match video. And my prior video is also pretty interesting. It's why I'm so calm and collected. I'm enjoying this. So see that video so you can, get that. It's like 7 minutes long, and yeah, I think it's a good investment of your time. This video right here is a little different. So this is what did I think of trying to rank these programs, because of course I went through a whole lot of interviews. Well, maybe not so many interviews as I would have wished, but well, it was a good amount. And after all those interviews, you have to choose and rank the programs. So this video right here is to share with you my honest thoughts about it, because I also see that there is an absence of these videos in the internet. I tried to see people, what was their brainstorming, how will they rank and choose these programs. So probably this video can help. So I did cardiology in Costa Rica, and here in the US, I did internal medicine again. And guess what? No, the answer isn't strictly, hey, he's going for cardiology again. Not necessarily. I like all medicine has to offer. So there's a lot of you out there like me that likes all medicine, and you're not sure what you want to go into. So at the end of medical school, you have many peers that are like dead set on, I'm radiology, I'm pathology, I'm this, I'm that. But there's some of us that are like, I can't decide. I just like the whole thing. That's not a problem. That might even be an advantage if used the right way. It means you love the whole thing. The human body, that's medicine. What's better than loving the whole thing and then just sort of deciding what you can choose to go in and dedicate the rest of your life in? So in my case, yeah, after doing in medicine in Costa Rica, after working on several jobs over there, after going through cardiology fellowship over there, after basically doing internal medicine residency all over again here in the US, after all that, when it was my time to choose for fellowship, because of course you can also not choose fellowship, that might be another video, but in my case, I wanted to go into fellowship. So I chose, okay, cardiology. Yeah, I like it. I've enjoyed it. I can see myself doing this in the future. But I also enjoyed pretty much all the complexities of critical illness and some of the things that critical illness has to offer that cardiology probably wouldn't offer me. So I thought to myself at this for a second or two, and I'm like, I think I should apply for critical care medicine as well. And I did that. I applied to cardiology and to critical care medicine. And here's where it gets more complex. Why don't people apply to everything and just see what happens? The reason for this is because, of course, the more places you apply to, the more money you will have to spend to be able to send your application to these different places. That's one. Another one is that at the end, when you have gone through your interviews, you will have to rank the programs only one list. So your rank order list is just one list. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do this little list for cardiology, and I'm going to do this list for critical care medicine, and then I'll see where I match in each of them, and then I'll choose based on where I matched on each. No, that doesn't happen. You can just make one single list. So you have to choose wisely what you're ranking, because in that single list, you have to combine and rank any specialties you apply to right there. Some people think you cannot apply to 2 different specialties. It depends what your reason is. So if you tell me I'm applying to cardiology, and as a safety net, right? People use this word as a safety net. I'm applying to put in critical care medicine or put in another specialty. So basically, safety net means in case I don't match into what I really want, which was cardiology, I'll match into this backup. That's not going to help, right? It's not going to help because you haven't gotten into the fight and you're already hyping up plan B. So go all into this. The reason I also applied to critical care medicine was, there were a couple. One was, I really like it. I could see myself in it. The only way I will know if I will rank it or not is I have to go to the interviews. I have to experience this. I have to actively participate in it. I have to see if I really like it, and I can basically show them that I really like it. I like it so much that they will be willing to rank me highly. Of course, I cannot see their rank order list, but I can read the room, right? So I applied to both cardiology and critical care medicine. I enjoyed both of the interview seasons going on at the same time. Interestingly, I was always expecting maybe during the critical care medicine interviews for them to ask me if I had applied to cardiology, since they could see on my CV that I did cardiology in Costa Rica, but it was never a question. And if they would have asked me, I would have answered. So I didn't tell them I was also applying to cardiology because it wasn't necessary. These interviews are very short and probably not necessary. If they would have asked, of course I would have answered. I enjoyed both of them greatly. I went to in-person interviews also, which were, of course, the least of the interviews after the COVID pandemic. But I went in person to cardiology interviews, in person to critical care medicine interviews. I enjoyed the whole thing. I remember the critical care medicine interview that there were these patients so complex. An impellant device. This other patient had a horrible GI bleed. All patients were very complex. I loved the complexity about it because those are the cool challenges to work on and trying to help people out at the end of the day. And I also love to go to the cardiology in-person interviews where, well, I'll tell you probably later on, but there was a simulation lab which was crazy. Pristine places, a couple places where I went, great fellows. I loved the environment. I loved what they were doing. So yeah, so I went to both, and what I want to get to is basically what are my thoughts when I'm writing these programs. Okay, so I already went through the whole thing. I already explained to you why I applied and interviewed at both, and I explained when it makes sense to interview in two different specialties. As a safety net, it's not going to work out for you. You won't end up doing something for the rest of your life just as a safety net, right? You have to really feel you like it, you love it, because this is the rest of your life. So after you interview everywhere, take notes. So take notes during the interview. So I'll show you, I am ramping up my note taking. These notes were for yesterday, 2 days ago. Rotation now, rotating in endocrinology. I take notes. Questions are here. To do things are here. So after I finish the entire day, I will just go one by one and marking things out. This one was for yesterday right here, and I'm trying to do 1 page per day, and it's enough information. Well, during interview season, I also was taking notes. So even there, interviewing in person, I had my little note thing, and there was maybe the program director said something interesting that I didn't want to forget. I would write it down, and they would look at me like, this is interesting. This guy is taking notes here, and I even got asked on an occasion, hey, what are you taking notes about? And I'm like, well, I don't want to forget this great conversation, and it's very important for me to reach out to you afterwards about this thing we spoke about. I feel like I would like to share with you such and such, and they're like, okay, perfect. So that's gonna be useful. Remember that after you finish your interview, first thing you should do is sit down in your car or wherever you are, take more notes, or record an audio where you say, okay, I just interviewed with Dr. A, Y, and Z. With Dr. A, I felt this and that. We spoke about this and that. I would like to send him an email thanking him for this and that, okay? You want to do that right after you interview. You don't want to go get some beers after you interview, because then you won't even remember what you're going to write about. And believe me that when you will sit down to write about and send thank you emails and all that, the time has passed. So when you're going to sit down, it might be 2 weeks afterwards, and you're going to be like, what did I talk about with this program director? And your mind might be blank. And sometimes it might happen that you might have so many interviews back to back that you will have to start writing thank you letters maybe a month later. After a month, you might even be like asking yourself, did I actually interview with this person, or I just saw them in a hallway? So you don't want this to happen. You want to, first of all, have all the information. You want to have all the information. You want to have a checklist sort of thing. What are the most important things for you as an applicant in all these programs? Location. Okay, mark it 1 to 10 location. Environment, 1 to 10. Camaraderie, or you get the point, right? Research opportunities, 1 to 10. Call schedule, 1 to 10. Does the hospital have a gym for you if you're interested in that? Yes or no? Free parking, yes or no? How much do you have to walk after you park your car? There's places that you have to walk 20 minutes. I'm not interested in walking 20 minutes to get to the main campus. Like, I'm doing my walking and all that during my exercise and going to patients. I don't want to be walking an extra 20 minutes if not strictly necessary. You get the point. So is there good food at the hospital? Yes or no? Etc. So that's what I want you to do, and that will give you a thermometer as to which one will be a better temperature for you. So that will help you rank your programs. But at the end of the day, there's programs that you're like, after you do all this, you get to decide who's going to be my number one. And that's when it gets extremely tough, right? You're like, oh, no idea. Like in my case, I started off having difficulty deciding who was going to be my number 3, number 4 program. And it took me several days, like 2 months or a month ago. It took me several days, then I finally decided that. Then last thing that took me several weeks before I certified my list, and I had to speak to my mentors. I had to speak to my family. I had to speak to my wife. This is a joint decision making. Take into account all these different people. Remember, at the end of the day, it's going to be you who's going to be in that hospital, and it's going to be you who is going to, your name is the one that's going to be called. So yeah, take into account everyone, but you will make the decision. So make an informed decision. And also take into account if your family, if you're going with your wife, you want to go to a place where your wife will also be okay. This isn't only about you. If you have a family, consider them as well. So for example, when I applied for internal medicine residency, my top choice was for several weeks a place in Chicago. And my second place was this program in Savannah, Georgia. And at the end of the day, missing a couple days, I thought to myself, like, Chicago, it's going to be way too cold. We don't have money for a car, this and that. And at the end, and we have 2 pet dogs, and we thought all these things through, and we decided, it would make sense to go to Savannah. The temperature or the climate is going to be more stable. My wife is going to be able to walk the dogs almost any time during the year. It's going to be a lovelier environment for us that we like walking the dogs around and all that. We might have a car, which we now have a car. etc., etc. And we ranked Savannah #1, and thankfully it worked out. And I'm not looking back. I don't look back. What happened is that my Savannah program, I knew that was more community-based than the university-affiliated program in Chicago. So I knew that everything is a trade-off. So if I came here to Savannah, I would have to put in more effort because I would have a little less connections for fellowship, a little less prestigious place in paper, right? The name, which at the end of the day is important. So I had to put in more effort in this program, which I was okay with. I did it, and guess what? It was able to help me get interviews at cardiology and critical care medicine. So I don't regret it at all. So now in this fellowship application, #1 was very tough because first you have to decide, okay, will my first program be cardiology or critical care medicine? How will you sort those out? That's an interesting point right there. #2 is remember that the match usually favors the applicant. So mark first wherever you have the most drive to go to. But remember that at the end of the day, it's also a mathematical algorithm. So I'll give you an example. There's a place, there might be a place with 6 spots. There might be a place with 2 spots. You might love the place with 6 spots, okay? So you might rank this place #1. But this other place only has 2 spots. So this other place, even if you like it a little, let's see. If you want to really match, you might have to make a little bit of mental gymnastics there because, of course, 6 spots give you more possibilities than 2 spots. So, yeah, there you can theorize and you can say, okay, I like the 6 spots a little better, but the 2 spot place, I also like them a lot, and it's harder to match there. My chances are higher with the 6 spot place, so I'll place the one with 2 spots #1, and I'll place the one with 6 spots #2, since the odds of this other place, the 6 spot place, is going to be higher. So that makes sense. That is simple mathematics. You can pause the video, go through it again, but it makes sense. It's like if you have a pizza with 6 slides left, right? You get to a party and they tell you, as soon as you get there, you ask how many slides are left and they tell you 6. And in this box, and they tell you how many are in that box and they tell you that there's only 2. Let's say you go to the bathroom and you come back and you want a slice of pizza. You will probably open the box that had the 6 slices because there's more probability that they haven't been taken completely, right? So yeah, that's just simple mathematics. You have to make all these analysis in your brain because although the algorithm favors the applicant, it favors all the applicants. So you're not the only applicant here. There's a whole lot of people applying. So if you want to be smart about it, you have to take these things into account. At the end of the day, it's going to be a very tough decision. It's going to be very, yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it. That's all I can tell you. You will end up where you need to go as long as you think wisely. This isn't something you rank as soon as the ranking opens and you just rank them and say certify it and that's it. No, this is something that you have to think over and over and over and discuss with your family and analyze, etc. So going back to the ranking, I just tell you a little bit about the mathematics involved. That's an interesting point. Another thing to consider is, yeah, you might have a program that you're like, oh, I love this program. I went to this interview in person. I know these people. I had a great relationship with the fellows. I love the program director. I think they love me. So you have them real high and you're like, I'm ranking this program #1. And then there's another program where you're like, this program made me think about it again. This program is also very good. I didn't spend time with these people so much. The interview was virtual. I wasn't there in person, but I love the interview day. And this program is even bigger. It is even better affiliated with universities. Possibilities of me getting a job or going to an additional fellowship afterward may be larger. They will send me somewhere else in the country to rotate a couple times in the next couple of years. And they are not owned by X or Y company. And I really like this one. So at the end of the day, you might be like, what will I weigh the most? Will I weigh the most prestige and a program I really like, but I have the uncertainty of being liked there because I haven't even been there in person? Or do I go for the place that they've shown me that they like me a lot even in person, but they might not have so much prestige and their affiliation with university is sort of non-existent and yeah, and connections might be less. So these are the things you will have to juggle through during your ranking. So these are just examples, right? And I can add into the mix, oh yeah, this is what I would prefer. I feel now I prefer this specialty. But I also had an interview at the best hospital in the world for the other specialty, which I also like a lot, but I'm having second thoughts if I could do that other specialty for the rest of my life. Woo! It's complicated, guys. So you just want to think this through and through and through. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at my Instagram, The Heart of Medicine, or you can comment on this YouTube channel. Let's start a discussion here, maybe in the chat section. We can help each other out. And yeah, I made this video because there's a void of information and insight into this topic of how to rank your programs. I hope I gave you a little bit of insight. I hope you understand that this isn't easy at all. And at the end, your gut feeling is going to be important, but don't only rely on your gut feeling. Also, attach the gut feeling hopefully to some objective things you value from the program, because if you're accepted there, you have to show them, hey, this is a place I put on my list because I was willing to come here, and I'm gonna show you my appreciation. So I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna make it count. So see you in the next video. That's it for this one, and we're gonna see the match in an hour and a half.